Hello everybody, Tanner here. I actually just got back from the 3-day orientation at the Indiana University Maurer School of Law. For those who don't know, it's basically an intro for us to get started for next week, which officially starts our classes, coursework, everything else. And this is basically just a 3-day thing that it's mandatory, where we go, we meet people, we meet our professors, some of them, we meet the deans, the directors of the school, the faculty, and there's various things that we have to do. And yeah, I just got back from that, changed, drank some water because it's pretty long days. It's basically 9 to 5, which I guess when we're working in the real world, it won't be that long, but because a lot of us are coming from a summer break, a lot of people were moving literally just this week. People had a lot of stuff to do. People are stressed. People are looking forward to getting started. I'm actually kind of really looking forward to getting started. I just want to get going. I want to get on a routine again. I want to get on a schedule. I just want to start the process. So this orientation, as I mentioned, it was 3 days. And I felt like it was really good to have. However, I don't think it needed to be 3 days, and I don't think it needed to be as long of days as they were. Some of the panels, some of the presentations, some of the I have the schedule right here, that's why I keep looking down, but some of the welcomes, some of them weren't necessary to me to have to be done in person. I think a lot of it could have been slides given to us or a video given to us in the pre-orientation modules. The pre-orientation modules that they gave us honestly weren't that much to go through anyway. So, I mean, unless you did every single thing, which is just crazy if you did, because there's modules on there that take like 9 to 10 hours, and they literally say on them it's welcoming you to law school, but that's what they're doing. So maybe it's bad that I didn't do some of them, but everything that they required to be done for the orientation I did like days ago. That's what I'm saying. It didn't need to be 3 days. It didn't need to be 6 hours. So the very first day we had a welcome, which was nice because it's like every single dean, every director talks to us, but again, they basically said the same exact thing. We're here to support you. We value your time. We value your mental health. They say the same thing over and over and over. So it's kind of repetitive. Is it necessary? Yes. It's necessary because we need to see all of their faces. We need to see that they truly care about us, which I think they do. They do an excellent job of getting us active, getting us engaged, getting us to feel welcome, and it works. I just don't think every single thing was necessary. I think the very first day, so basically, okay, after the welcomes, you meet with what are called practice groups, and then your practice group advisor is either going to be a 2L or a 3L, and they're basically going to give you a tour. There was a little lunch, and you basically get to know the people in your practice group, which people in your practice group are going to have the same exact schedule with the same exact professors. All 1Ls at IU Maurer have, IU Bloomington Maurer, but at Maurer, every 1L has the same schedule for both semesters. We just don't all have the same professors. So your practice group is going to be really important because every single one of those people have the same exact professors and the schedule as well, obviously. So getting to know, I think it was 9 of us, getting to know all 9 of us was really nice. It was really cool. Our practice group advisor, or the PGA, is a really cool guy. He's a 2L. That was honestly, in my opinion, and of the several people I talked to, was the most important part all day. I felt like anything after that, it was interesting. It was nice to see, but again, I feel like it could have been online. After the practice group meetings, we had it's called Building Community Through Disagreement and Dialogue. So this was basically a very short debate between 2 professors on the opposite side of views. And I think the premise of what they were trying to do for us was really, good. It's a great, valuable lesson. It's needed. Basically, the lesson that they wanted us to take is a couple of things. One, they want us to be able to argue both sides of an argument without any sort of emotion or personal passion, and just focus on logic, facts, things that are necessary in order to try to persuade a jury or a judge or a court, or anything of that nature. Two is to listen to an argument and try to use that in a way that is giving you more information to try to open your mind. Number three, to try to do your research, try to get as much information as possible, but also in a concise, nice manner that people would understand and be able to go to your side. The ironic part about that is afterwards there was a question and answers from the students, and there was like 4 or 5 questions that were asked, and the dean, she was actually moderating the debate, and so she was welcoming questions. But the 4 or 5 questions were about how to, create an argument, how to argue, and what should we do in this scenario for an argument, blah, blah, blah. And she had to tell us that the point of it was not about the argument, but was about the listening. So to me, and the several people I talked to about it, we kind of agree and said, well, if none of us got the initial point of it, wasn't it kind of pointless to begin with? Now, if any staff or faculty or the deans or directors see this, please note, I think it was a really incredible thing to see 2 professionals have that dialogue, and then to show us that, like, hey, it is possible to do this, especially in today's climate, political climate, legal climate, social climate. People are very passionate. People can get angry. People can get mad, But was it necessary for people who are supposed to be adults and supposed to have learned this many years ago? I don't know. Maybe it could have been an online lesson in the pre-orientation modules. I don't know. I'm just saying. I didn't learn much from it, and of course not everybody is going to be like me. I have engaged in debates. I have engaged in politics. So not everybody will have that same experience, and maybe they didn't learn that. I understand. But at the same time, we're all supposed to be law students, and we're supposed to be kind of going towards pro bono as early as our first semester, and dealing with clients and dealing with politics, whether literally city politics, county politics, or just classroom politics. We're already supposed to kind of know that. And I feel like since the questions that were asked weren't related to the actual point at all, I don't know. But it was really cool seeing 2 professionals actually do it, with the information, with them knowing. It was Professor Sanders and Professor Waters, and they were both really neat individuals. After that panel, I actually went and talked to Professor Sanders one-on-one, and I asked him something specific about his first argument. So again, it was useful. It was nice. I just think it could have been done online and saved everyone a lot of time. So after that, it was your law school support network. And again, this was an hour of basically going through every single program that the faculty offers, and basically people were going through. Everybody had like 3 to 10 minutes at a time, and was just going through what they did, how they do it, how they can help, which again, extremely useful. I'm sure all of us are going to use 80% to 100% of those programs. Extremely useful, super beneficial to us as students. Again, I think it could have been done online. I think we could have just scrolled through the slides that they have. They even said today in our last day that all of the slides will be provided to us anyway. So why couldn't it just have been done online, and then the extremely important stuff just have been today or 2 days? I don't And then there was a first gen student session in Mixer, which I did not go to because I'm not a first gen student, and I kind of just wanted to leave for the day. So the first day was okay. Thankfully, I was somebody who had already known a couple of people through the summer. I had moved here about a month before all of this started, so I had known one of my neighbors is actually also an incoming 1L, so we've kind of done things outside of the school already, and for those watching, you may be part of the group chat already, so a lot of us have already been in communication. So thankfully I was one of the people, I think most of us had already known a couple people either through chatting or have done outside stuff, but my point is, if you fit into that first gen student session Mixer, it probably would have been a really good thing to go to. I can't speak on that. I didn't know anybody who went. I didn't ask anybody if they went. But I'm sure if you do fit into that category, it would have been an amazing experience. But anyway, the first day as a whole, I feel like was 90% useless in terms of actually going. I think meeting our practice groups and the first part where we were introduced to all of the faculty, well, most of the faculty, there's a lot of extra staff that we didn't get to meet, but maybe not a lot. We met pretty much everyone that I know of, that they have pictures of and everything else. Regardless, whatever. What I'm saying is, I think a lot of it could have been done online. I think a lot of it could have just been slides, a slide presentation, or even us going on Zoom, or them having, they already had several videos that we were supposed to watch regardless. They had ethics training, they had the financial aid orientation, they had Think Like a Lawyer audio message. They could have done it. So it could have saved us all a day. But meeting with the practice groups was the absolute most useful thing of the entire day. My advisor's a really cool dude. He gave us a lot of advice, a lot of information that I think I know for a fact I'm going to take with me into the rest of 1L, because like I said previously, they're all 2Ls and 3Ls. They have, from what I understand, a very extensive training and interview process in order to get to that stage of advising the 1Ls. So I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to take his advice, because I had asked other upperclassmen the same questions, and they basically said the same exact thing. So, and that's not part of their training, right? That's just what they do. So as a 1L, why would I not want to listen to my upperclassmen and follow in their footsteps, since they're all successful at what they do? Anyway, that was day one. Day two, it started with another welcome, which is basically just explaining what we were going to do through the day. So be it. And then we started to do rotations. So it was 8 sections each of the practice groups. 8 of them would be at one rotation, 8 of them would be at another rotation, and then the remainder would be at the third rotation, and we just rotated. So for my schedule, the first one was charting your professional path, and that was basically just being introduced to the career services office, saying what they can do for us. An extended version of what happened the first day is what happened the second day. It was more broken down by sections, but then it expanded into more important information, but specifically for the career service office, and then more about that later. My second rotation was actually pictures. So you might, if you go to like Maurer's websites and stuff, you might see headshots of students in like business attire and whatnot. That's not what these pictures are. These pictures, as far as I understand, are sent to professors that we have, and then they're uploaded into what's called CareerNet, which I guess is basically, if you're familiar with like Handshake, or there's another service, I don't remember which one, but there's another service that does it. It's basically jobs that are sent to the school that they post, and we go through and apply, and it helps career services know who we are, and it helps employers know who we are. and our pictures are filtered that way. These are not like professional headshots. It's part of the staff. I guess it was actually professional. I don't know. I don't know if they use like a third party or not, but they had studio lights and a backdrop and a photographer taking the pictures. What I'm saying is I don't think they're supposed to be used for professional headshots going forward. And then the second day, lunch was on your own, so a lot of people went to different restaurants. I don't like to spend money, so I brought my own lunch, whatever. A lot of people brought their own lunch. I would say the first day, just from people I saw going to restaurants, like walking out of the buildings, walking down the street, I would say it's probably like 60-40. 60% probably went and got lunch, and 40% probably stayed and ate their own lunch. So if you feel like a weirdo bringing your own lunch, don't. If you feel like a weirdo going to buy your lunch, don't. Do what you got to do what you want to do. I just don't like spending money. If I like spending money, I probably would have gone down and tried a couple restaurants I want to try downtown. They give us an hour and 15 minutes. And my session was actually done very, very early because I shouldn't say the whole session. I personally was done very, very early because I was like 12th or 15th in line to get photos, and it goes by really fast. So I ended up going back down to the lobby and just talking to one of the people I had met. Like, it was literally for like an hour, you know what I mean? And then my third rotation was cross-cultural competency for professional success. And this was another one. It was it was like, I don't want to say fun because it's kind of lessening the importance of it. It was an important discussion, but Dean Escobedo made it like a really kind of fun experience because it was basically looking at 3 different pictures, what our first judgment was, and then discussing them. And one of them was like, I thought I went crazy on it, and I was like, nah, this is something crazy, but it ended up being something super innocent and just, I don't want to give it away in case they use the same pictures next year, but I think the moral of the discussion for that is extremely important in life, just in general. What it basically is talking about bias and how we can use language better to make people feel more comfortable. Sure, it's important in any situation. But again, I think this has the same issue with the, what's the actual title? With the building community through disagreement and dialogue. It kind of has the same situation as that, where we're supposed to be adults, we're supposed to be law students. We should know this by now. If people don't know that by now, it might be a personal issue. I was taught not to be racist as a kid. I was taught not to show implicit bias as a kid. I know not everybody grows up the same way. I know not everybody has the same experience. I know not everybody has the same education. I understand that. But again, I think it was a little bit treating us like children, and they're just expecting us to not know that this is how a professional life is supposed to be. They talked about having clients and not judging clients when they come through the door and making sure that everyone's treated fairly. And it's like, that's just supposed to be life. And if you're not into that already, you got bigger problems in your life, in my opinion. So again, I think it was an extremely important discussion. I just don't know if, since we're supposed to be the status that we are in terms of adult, in terms of a professional student, in terms of this, if it was really needed. But again, very important. And there might have been people who have learned a lot, but for me, it was basically just a repeat of what I have known my whole life, right? And then they did, this was the most important, in my opinion, this was the most important session of the day. They did a panel. It was 4 professors, 2 of which are actually professors I have. But anyway, they did a Socratic method, what to expect, why we do it, and how to benefit from it. And this was very, very neat because 2 of the Yeah, well, it was only two of the professors. It was two professors that I didn't have, or don't have rather, but they actually were going around the I think it's the moot courtroom, but they were going around and literally practicing Socratic method with people, and this one guy kept getting picked on. I felt so bad because it was literally every single JD student, which is, as far as I heard, it's like 200 even students this year. So, which I also heard is like the biggest class they've had in several years. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But this one guy kept getting like picked on, man. It was like, give the guy a break. But it was really useful information because I even asked a question about case briefs versus outlines in getting ready for exams and everything else. But regardless, it was super useful to know because the two professors that I had were talking about what they expect, what they want. And it is going to be daunting for all of us. The Socratic method, for those who don't know, is very basically, it's being called, when everyone's in class, it's being called in class to explain something or to answer a question that the professor might have. Very simply, that's what it is. It's the Socratic method. And a lot of them my one professor, he calls it the modified Socratic, because I guess it's not a real Socratic method that Socrates used in, the ancient Greek times or whatever. But it was just very, very useful. Like, this was the second day, this was the most useful thing because it gave us actual first-hand knowledge of what the professors expect from us. And it was very beneficial. I was like alert the entire time because I needed to have as much information from my actual professors as possible. So I think I got really lucky with the 4 professors that 2 of them were actually my professors, It was really cool. Side note, these professors, deans, and directors somehow know names like that. I got lost today. Somehow I was just stupid and didn't read a sign. Whatever. And my professor actually came out of his office and was like, "Hey Tanner, how's it going?" I was like, "How do you know me? Like how do you know me? That's crazy." I don't know if our pictures were already uploaded. I don't know what it is. I did say my name that day when I asked my question to the professors that I know or that I have. So maybe he just knew my face. There's 2 bald guys in our entire 200 class, so I guess it might not be too difficult to know who I am. And I also have somewhat of a unique name in the sense that I've only met 2 people my entire life with the same name. With that said, it was kind of crazy. He came out of his office and was like, "Hey Tanner, how's it going?" I was like, "Hey," But regardless, that's the Socratic method session. Super important. I liked it a lot. Bravo. Amazing. So that was the best time of the second day. And then after that, I had another session called Student Engagement and Community. And this one was kind of fun. But again, it was one of those ones that I think could have just been online. Give us the slides, tell us what we need to know, and be done with it. It was basically an hour of them going through student engagement, organizations, everything else. I already kind of know what organizations I want to join. They talked about just kind of stuff everyone already knew. That's what I'm saying. It could have just been a video. It could have just given us the slides. But again, it was nice to see the dean. It was nice to see the director putting all the faces to names. I think is the best part about pretty much everything. But with that said, they had a student panel with the SBA president and a couple other people, and one of them was a 2L who had been a 1L rep for her entire year. So she was basically giving us information that hey, being a representative for the org for 1Ls, being a rep is actually possible, and here's why. So that was pretty cool. And then the SBA, being able to kind of talk to the SBA president was nice. I didn't talk to him one-on-one, but I asked a question. And the other 2 inputs were also welcome. So I think the student panel part of that was very informational. But the presentation before it was kind of a lot of people kept saying this could have been an email. I think it could have been a video with slides. Like, it could have just saved us an hour, you know. But again, useful, but necessary, I don't know. And then after that, I have a little bit of a gripe. And if any faculty, staff, or anything are seeing this, this is the one thing where I'm saying, hey, maybe this could have been better. The student organization mixer was kind of a disaster in my opinion. So, first of all, this might just be a me problem. I didn't know where the patio was. Everyone kept saying, past the double doors, past the double doors. But there are like 16 double doors in the lobby alone. You know what I'm saying? So maybe this was just me being a little silly. I don't know. I just followed the crowd. The issue with that is once you open the double doors, the crowd is just huge and just right there. I couldn't read anybody's sign except who were in the middle and the top. So there was like 4 orgs over here I couldn't even read. It was extremely packed. I talked to one org. People are, hitting each other's backpacks. People are running into each other. People are, excuse me. For some reason, there were random tables just there that people were sitting at and weren't moving for anybody. There were steps right there that were really hard to walk up because people were, kind of walking up sideways. That was a bad idea. I'm sorry. I am sorry to say, but that was a disorganized mess. I'm sorry. It was not good. I wanted to talk to 2 or 3 other people. I couldn't. There was just no way I was just going to stand there like, who's waiting around, No. With that said, they did plug a student organization fair, I think they called it, on September 2nd. Which at the time of recording this is basically like 2 weeks away. And I will go to that. But the issue is, it's 40, they keep saying 43 clubs or whatever with 2 to come. So it's going to be 43 clubs in the lobby. And just today at the reception, the meet and greet reception, it was already packed with all of us. So I don't know how they expect to fit 45 clubs on a normal class day anyway, when all the 1L classes are going to be along the lobby anyway. So hopefully it'll all be good. It won't be mixed up. It won't be disorganized. But this student organization mixer was not good. Sorry to say. I know that makes me sound kind of arrogant, kind of makes me sound a little butthole-ish, but every single person I talked to about it, every single person had a complaint about it. Sorry, fellas, that was a miss. And again, I want to clarify that I think the entirety of the orientation was a net positive, okay? I think it was generally and genuinely beneficial. I just think there needs to be some changes for next year for the new 1Ls, because I just think the time could have been spent with other things and that a lot of it could have been a video with slides. I don't think it was necessarily a waste. I think most of it was helpful and really good to know. I just think a lot of it could have been done differently. But the student org mixer was a disaster. I'm sorry. It was not good. Okay, so Friday, today, this day actually, I actually liked a lot of this day. But so the first session was again with a professor I had. So again, I got lucky. Extremely useful, very useful. Good job. Thank you, professor that I have. I appreciate it. Anyway, it's a case briefing. So during the pre-orientation, we were supposed to brief a case called Lucy versus Zimmer, and it was our job to basically brief it on our own. And then today, the professor went through and basically did the case brief with us. And people were volunteering, so he wasn't cold calling on anyone. Socratic method still, but it wasn't a cold call. People were volunteering. But I'm actually kind of happy because I actually briefed it like pretty close to correct. There was a couple things that I was a little off about, but not a lot, which I'm really happy about. I hope I can continue that momentum. I doubt it. Let's be honest. I doubt it. I'm definitely, compared to a lot of these students, I'm definitely not a brainiac. A lot of these students are kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like genius level type shit. But I'm trying my best, okay? What I'm saying is, with Lucy versus Zimmer, I was pretty correct with a lot of stuff, so I'm happy about it. I was like happy that I was able to do that. And then we split off to other groups, so it was bigger than our practice groups, but smaller than the sessions of the previous days. And it was like, I think the fellow said it was 22 of us. The way we sat down, I got really lucky, and it wasn't like assigned seating or anything, but I got really lucky because the person that I sat next to was part of my practice group, and then the person that sat next to me was part of my practice group, and the person that sat next to her was part of our practice group. So the four of us had already known each other from Wednesday, and 2 days before today, obviously. And then the person who sat next to the last person in my practice group was a new face to me, at least. So it was kind of cool because the five of us were able to brief Brown versus Entertainment Merchants, which I thought we also were supposed to brief on our own, but then today the fellow said that we were briefing it with our group. So what I did was, I'm going to be honest here, faculty, if you see this, I apologize from my heart. I actually did not brief it. What I did was I used a pre-brief that I downloaded because I wanted to see how close a pre-brief was to what they were going to teach us about briefing. I briefed Lucy and Zimmer. I did not brief Brown versus Entertainment Merchants. Here's the thing. The pre-brief is super useful, but you still have to know the case in order to know exactly what the brief is about. With that said, I probably won't be using pre-briefs again unless I'm like really stuck on something and I'm like, I don't know how to read this sentence, which me not knowing how to read is apparently the precedence of today, because like I said, I got lost when I was looking for a room. Turns out I read the wrong thing. Whatever. But with that said, that was actually super useful too, because that's when I asked a different PGA, not mine, but a different one, the same question I asked my PGA, and he said literally the same exact answer. So I'm just going to do what they said, and I don't want to say what they said. I'm gatekeeping a little bit here, just in case faculty and staff's watching this. But what I'll say is, Professor Tomaine told us to do the same thing that the PGA said to do. So if any directors or dean want to ask what he said to do about briefs or how he briefs, you can ask him. But how he briefs is how I'm going to try to brief. At least, hopefully, maybe if I keep getting cold called and I make myself look like an idiot, I'll change tactics. But I'm also not afraid to look like an idiot because I make a fool of myself pretty much wherever I am anyway. So, whatever. After that other briefing practice with the groups, not our practice groups, but the groups that we were with at that time, it was another bring your own lunch. I actually did not eat this time. I was trying to experiment, but that's a story for another time. I met up with a friend of mine. We walked around, I think it's called Dunn's Woods or Dunn Woods. We walked around there. I met a couple other students, JD students. And then we walked back and we were just kind of chit-chatting, whatever. That was a 2-hour lunch actually, yeah. Because they had makeup photos and then they had an intellectual property meet and greet. I did not go to that. Apparently they served food, someone had told me. So maybe I should have gone. for that, but no, I'm just kidding. I did not go to the intellectual property meet and greet though, because I have literally no interest in IP law. What everyone kept saying through these 3 days is that if you know a law you want to practice, a law type you want to practice, you might not want to practice that, after being in classes for a semester or two. It just depends. So right now I'm saying I have no interest in IP, even though from what I understand they also make like the most money. But I honestly have no interest in that. I did not want to go, so I didn't. So I can't tell you how it was. It might even be a different group next year. I don't know. So if you're watching this now or watching this a year from when I recorded this, it might be different. I don't know. I can't tell you how that was. And then the next hour we had our different rotation from the previous day. So instead of student engagement and community, I went to student affairs and expectations. And again, I think this is one that was useful information. It's good information to have. I just think that it could have been a video with slides. Part of it I had already known all about. Another part of it I had read somewhere else. Not an extremely interactive or engaging presentation. Useful information, but a lot of people were complaining that it was super hot in there and people weren't feeling very comfortable in there because of some other stuff, I guess. So maybe that has something to do with it. But for me, I was just kind of chilling, man. I mean, I was paying attention. I was engaged, but also, like, you guys could have just done a video, sent us the slides. They're going to be sending us the slides anyways, so could have saved us another hour. That's okay. And then this part was pretty cool. It was about an hour and a half. It's called Welcome to the Legal Profession. So there was a welcoming, there was a couple other remarks, and then there was another welcome, and then someone got an award. I don't know when, but they were the recipient who gave us another welcome. And then the coolest part of that whole thing was we actually got a judge on the Indiana Court of Appeals to come talk to us and give a speech. And that was really interesting because it was like, I mean, I don't know how every law student feels about this, but for me, I think it'd be amazing to be a judge one day. So just hearing from one in person. I mean, I used to watch Judge Judy growing up. Like, I still love Judge Judy. I still watch reruns, like, all the time. I love Judge Judy. But hearing, like, in person, in front of me, like, a judge talking about law school and how, anyone can be anything and we just got to keep moving forward and live our life. Like, it was very nice to hear that this very, very successful person in the field of law, like, it was in our steps, just 25 years ago or whatever it was, 30 years ago. So it was super nice to hear, super cool to see. And then we did our professionalism oath, which is literally basically just, I mean, I haven't taken any professional oaths like that, but I have taken like oaths before, and it was nice. It was cool. It was kind of awkward because typically what happens if you take an oath like that, they tell you to sit down, but we stayed standing for like another 3 minutes, which was kind of awkward, but whatever. And then this was another thing that was, so after that, for about an hour, they had a welcome reception. Everybody was just standing around. We walked right by the food table and no one got food at all. Then there was drinks, people got drinks, and then people went back to the food to get food. I don't know. I was literally there for like 5 minutes. I personally met Dino Choa. She actually came up to me and my friend and introduced herself, which was really cool. Like I just met the Dean of Maurer. Like holy crap, that's really cool. So that was really cool. But besides that, like, I was just talking to people I had already known, which is my fault. Yes, I could go up to people. I don't have a problem with going up to people. I just felt like everybody already kind of had their people. The very first day I saw a couple people kind of by themselves, but Like all day Thursday, all day today, I never really saw people like by themselves, except for maybe one or two. But those one or two that I'm thinking of, like I introduced myself to. So I think a lot of people are already kind of finding their people. A lot of people are already kind of finding their groups, which is nice. But like my PGA had already said, my practice group advisor had already said, like, since the classes are kind of small, I mean, we have the biggest class size in years, but since the class sizes are so small, like, we're all going to get to know each other anyway. It's not like this group, it theoretically shouldn't be cliquey, it theoretically shouldn't have cliques where this group hates this group and then that group nobody knows and then this group is all like the loners, whatever. Like, I don't think it should be like that. I mean, I'm on the internet, so I'm obviously not afraid of socializing, afraid of going up to people. Like, I'm not afraid of public speaking anymore. I think all of us at one point or another were or are, but honestly, I'm really not anymore. Like, I literally like to talk to people on the street, like all the time, like if I'm walking by them or whatever. So like, I'm not afraid to have that interaction. I could have done better, honestly. Like, I could have done better going up to people, introducing myself. But I also said to a lot of people that I think it'll be easier once we have our routines, we have our schedules, we know what we have to do to keep, moving one step forward. I think it'll be easier once we see people in our classes over and over and over again, because we all have the same classes, we all have the same exact schedule. It's just different professors that people have. So seeing people in the same class, the same professors, the same schedule over and over and over and over and over and over and over again for an entire semester, and then again next semester, we're gonna get to know everybody in our classes. Is everyone gonna be friends? Probably not. You can't have a group of 200 people where every single person is a friend, but we're all gonna be able to maintain, hopefully, a cordial working professional relationship. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably the most important. All of the upperclassmen kept saying friends are the most important. Having friendships is the most important. But I don't think 200 of us are going to be friends. Let's be honest. What I'm also going to be honest with is I do believe that there's going to be working, healthy, productive relationships going forward. But I think since a lot of us are new to the area, some people might have like social issues just all through their life. But since it was basically just 3 days of information overload, people, not every single person was trying as socially hard as maybe they could have. Me included. Like I said, I could have done better. I could have done better introducing myself, going up to groups, saying hi, whatever. But the welcome reception was kind of not spectacular. Again, I think it kind of is also related to how like the student organization mixer was. It was cramped. We were all in the lobby. I had moved down past like I had gone down to the end of the lobby, so it wasn't as bad for me. But people were sitting there in the hallway, just like cramped, trying to talk to each other, trying to like meet new people, and you had to kind of nudge your way out of that group. It's like it almost seems like they don't have a space big enough for us. So it makes me wonder why they added 50 more people from last year's 1L class. Like, yeah, I know they had a lot more admissions because if you're in tuned to law school admission cycles, this cycle was a really weird, kind of wacky cycle. But to me, if you don't have all of the accommodations to fit 200 people comfortably, why would you accept 200 people to begin with? And maybe I was one of the 50 people on the chopping block that they were like, you know what, maybe we should take this guy to be added to that eventual 200. But with that said, like, if I was number 151, there's 49 other people. You know what I'm saying? But like, I don't know. My PGA was already saying like last year they already had trouble fitting in all 150 people. So to me, I don't understand why you would accept 50 extra people when not all of us can even fit in the lobby or the student lounge or the library loud area. Like, I don't know. Obviously, when they built the law school in 1955 or whatever it was, they weren't expecting so many people, and I understand. Same reason why parking downtown and all across campus sucks, IU, is because when they built the area, they weren't expecting all of these people to be here, right? It makes sense. But at the same time, maybe think of other alternative areas that we can go to and not be cramped like little sardines in a little tin can. With that said, my little final remarks, faculty, staff, deans, directors, if you're watching this, listen, I don't want to have sort of a bad footing with any of you. I really, really appreciate and respect all of you guys' time, your positions, your information. I think all of the information is vitally important. Like I said, I think all of us are going to use every program to some capacity in one way or another, like eventually, you know. We all need career services. We all need student engagement. We all need student affair information. You know, a lot of people are going to be using CAPS, JLab. You know, all of that is so vitally important. I understand. But I don't think the way it was presented to us was the best way it could have been done. That's all I'm saying. I appreciate everyone who took the time. I don't think every professor needed to be here. So they took the time out of their summers to come and help us. So I seriously, if anybody of them are watching, I honestly thank you, and I seriously appreciate you guys. I don't want any bad footing at all. I don't want this to try to be a negative video. This is just giving my opinion, and hopefully 1Ls next year and 1Ls after that and 1Ls after that are watching this video when I'm dead and gone. Hopefully 1Ls are watching this video and saying like, okay, this is what I have to expect. I saw so many people taking notes. I saw so many people, I mean, all of us obviously heard people ask questions because we were together for a lot of it, but so many people asking questions, so many people engaged and active listening. And I mean, I was listening for the entire time too. I wasn't like playing on my phone or playing games on my laptop or anything like that. No, I was engaged and active, and again, it was extremely useful and helpful. I just think it could have been presented differently, in a different medium, in a different way. My biggest complaint is the student org mixer. That needs to be erased and completely redone. But aside from that, it was lovely meeting everyone I met. It's mandatory, so it's not like you can't go. But I think a lot of hours could have been saved. I think a lot of things could have been done differently. But with that said, it was I said this before. It was a net positive. Let me put it this way: in my undergrad, I went to pre-orientation stuff that was not mandatory, and I learned so much. And then the orientation, which was mandatory for my undergrad, which I actually have a video of, I felt like it was completely useless because I had learned everything in the pre-orientation voluntary stuff. So it was like I don't know. That's a different topic, which I have a video of. But my point is, super useful information. I appreciate everyone's time. I'm happy I met everyone I did. Everyone I didn't meet, I'm sure I will meet, because we're all going to meet each other eventually anyway. With that said, some things needed to be changed. Some things I think could have been presented in a different way or a different medium. But that's really all I got to say. So any 1L in my class watching this, hi. If we didn't meet, I'm sure we will eventually. Any 1Ls in the future watching this, hopefully I'll be either a 2L, 3L, or graduated with a really cool job through the career service office. But what I'm saying is, I just hope this video was informational, and if we went to orientation together, then I hope, I kind of hope my opinions and feelings are validated, and if they're not, let me know what you thought, and yeah, I guess I'll see you guys when I see you, and thanks for watching. Peace.